Welcome to the Memory Scope channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out more videos like this one. A silent plague once haunted the world as thousands fell into a waking trance, trapped within motionless bodies, before the mysterious illness vanished forever, leaving modern science without any answers or a cure. The crushing weight of state authority shatters a family's peace in Minneapolis as Tayana Gibson Brown watches in absolute terror while federal officers use a heavy battering ram to arrest her husband Garrison. Standing amidst the somber silence of a 1957 funeral, 21-year-old Yves Saint Laurent appears burdened by a sudden immense legacy as he mourns the legendary Christian Dior and prepares to lead a fashion empire. Under the warm glow of a 1965 afternoon, Mildred and Richard Loving share a quiet moment of affection after triumphantly overturning Virginia's cruel laws that had once criminalized their beautiful interracial marriage. In a quiet public park during 1981, the newly elected mayor Bernie Sanders proves his dedication to Burlington by personally gathering discarded litter, demonstrating a humble, hands-on approach that would define his political career. Amidst the dust of Edinburgh, Texas in 1939, a young child of migrant workers sits within a sparse home, his wide eyes reflecting the quiet, heavy burden of poverty during the Great Depression. A lone shack belonging to a forgotten war veteran stands against the vast, desolate horizon of Nueces Bay in 1939, serving as a stark reminder of the isolation faced by many in Texas. Beneath the floorboards of a San Francisco home in 2018, police discovered a hidden room, containing a single chilling fish tank that held the decapitated remains of Brian Egg, who had mysteriously vanished. While digging a simple duck pond in 1835, a local man accidentally stumbled upon the entrance to a breathtaking subterranean tunnel meticulously lined with millions of seashells by an unknown and ancient hand. During the 19th century, the state of Louisiana profited from unspeakable cruelty by imprisoning black women with white men and later selling their children to fund public schools, a dark stain on history. Stranded in the vast Alaskan wilderness, Carl McCunn watched his only hope of rescue fly away after a tragic signaling error, eventually choosing a lonely death over the slow, agonizing crawl of starvation. On a cold January day, 2014 15-year-old Aitzaz Hassan became a national hero in Pakistan by selflessly tackling a suicide bomber, sacrificing his young life to save 2,000 fellow students from tragedy. Federal agents in 1962 display the massive spoils of a high-stakes heroin bust in New York City, revealing the gritty and dangerous reality of the mid-century war against the rising tide of narcotics. Emerging from the industrial gloom of 1970, the four original members of Black Sabbath pose for a portrait that captures the dark, heavy energy that would soon revolutionize the entire world of music. Deep within a sprawling German manufacturing plant in 1943, the rhythmic clanging of steel echoes as workers assemble massive tanks, fueling a desperate and destructive war machine that gripped the entire European continent. Children in 1900 test their courage and grip on towering iron poles at Trinity Play Park in Dallas, enjoying a primitive and perilous playground that reflects a much different era of childhood safety. Running with grace across the ancient stones of Rome, Ethiopian athlete Abebe Bikila stunned the world in 1960 by winning the Olympic marathon, barefoot shattering a world record with every incredible unprotected step. Along the shores of New Jersey in 1920, several women faced the indignity of arrest as authorities strictly enforce outdated modesty laws, measuring the length of swimsuits deemed far too scandalous for public. Within the creative halls of Walt Disney Studios, meticulous craftsmen labor over a complex automated caveman, destined to mesmerize the crowds at the spectacular 1964 New York World's Fair with lifelike mechanical movements. Using a heavy household appliance to achieve the perfect look, a young woman in 1964 demonstrates the extreme and heat-intensive measures taken to straighten hair before modern styling tools were ever widely available. A dedicated priest navigates the dusty roads of 1922 in a unique mobile church, bringing spiritual guidance and traditional services directly to remote communities that lacked a permanent place of worship and gathering. Tensions remain high in 1948 as meticulous painters mark the dividing line between British and Russian sectors at Potsdamer Platz, visually defining the cold ideological split that would soon haunt a divided Berlin. And suspended between earth and sky in 1937, a brave climber scales a jagged narrow peak in Chamonix, France, embodying the daring spirit of early mountaineers who challenged the most dangerous heights of Europe. Aboard the USS New York in 1899, the young son of Admiral William Thomas Sampson shares a quiet moment with Pitch, the ship's loyal canine mascot, amidst the looming steel of the American fleet. A wounded veteran of the legendary Harlem Hellfighters watches the 1919 Victory Parade in New York City, his somber expression reflecting the heavy price paid for a country that still denied him equality. Bathed in the solemn atmosphere of a 1940 Good Friday ceremony, a devout couple in Mexico participates in a deeply spiritual tradition that has connected generations through faith, sacrifice, and shared cultural identity. Captured in 1911, this visionary illustration by Richard Rummel imagines the soaring skyline of a future Manhattan, predicting the vertical expansion that would soon transform New York City into a sprawling concrete metropolis. Young women sit in disciplined rows within a Boston classroom at the Emerson School for Girls in 1850, pursuing an education during a time when such opportunities were still rare for American women. Bearing the painful scars of intolerance, German-American farmer John Meintz stands in 1918 after being brutally tarred and feathered in Minnesota for his alleged lack of support for the Great War's bond drives. With youthful energy and perfectly synchronized movements, Yale cheerleaders perform a complex routine in 1925, capturing the vibrant spirit of early collegiate sports culture during the roaring and transformative decade of the 20s. A determined mailman balances his heavy leather bags upon a rugged motorcycle in 1915, representing the dawn of a faster era for the Postal Service as technology began to conquer the vast distances. A line of hopeful contestants displays their legs in a 1936 competition in Cliftonville, England, showcasing the light-hearted and quirky public spectacles that offered a brief escape from the looming shadows of war. In a breathtaking display of humanity, thousands of people packed the Golden Gate Bridge in 1987 to celebrate its 50th anniversary, nearly flattening the iconic structure's arch under the sheer weight of celebration. Amidst the scent of fresh timber at Grant Porter shipyards in 1918, the massive wooden ribs of a ship take shape in Portland, Oregon, as craftsmen work tirelessly to support the global effort. Seated with a quiet, dignified intensity, a man rests his hat upon his knee for a 1850s portrait, his weathered face serving as a timeless window into the rugged life of mid-19th century America. In a somber New York studio in 1908, two focused men carefully apply plaster to a face, capturing a final permanent likeness through the haunting and ancient tradition of creating a detailed death mask. Resting with serene composure upon a sharp bed of nails, a yogi in Benares demonstrates incredible physical mastery and spiritual discipline during 1907, a moment captured. He forever by the lens of Herbert Ponting. Wrapped in the mystical aura of pre-revolutionary Russia, the enigmatic monk Grigory Rasputin sits beside his wife and daughter in 1911, a family portrait masking the chaotic influence he held over the imperial throne. Suspended in a breathtaking display of trust and power, a circus elephant gently cradles a performer within its massive jaws during a 1937 show embodying the spectacular and perilous allure of American entertainment. Navigating the bustling streets of 1920s Japan, three elegant Maiko-san ride atop a modern motor rickshaw, creating a striking visual contrast between ancient refined traditions and the rapid onset of 20th century mechanical innovation. Captured through the unflinching lens of Diane Arbus. In 1961, members of the Monster Fan Club in New York reveal a subculture of outsiders finding community and identity through their shared eccentric passions. Straining against the grueling terrain of the 1936 Tour de France, cyclists push their bodies to the absolute limit, fueled by a raw determination that defined the golden age of professional long-distance racing. Amidst the freezing tension of the 1944 Battle of the Bulge, a weary American soldier leans from his tent near Luxembourg to share a tender human moment of friendship with a local dog. Towering over the crowds at the 1936 Pomona County Fair, a massive fabricated corn cob serves as a whimsical monument to California's agricultural abundance and the playful spirit of Depression-era public celebrations and festivals. In a surreal sight from 1966, powerful Saab 35 Draken fighter jets are towed through the narrow, quiet streets of Linköping, Sweden, as residents watch the high-tech machinery pass by their very doorsteps. Backstage at Madison Square Garden, in 1975, Bob Dylan and Muhammad Ali share a momentous encounter following the night of the hurricane uniting two of the era's most influential and iconic cultural figures. Perched precariously on the 72nd floor of the Bank of Manhattan in 1929, photographer Jack Riley braves dizzying heights to capture the soaring ambition and architectural marvels of a rapidly rising New York. A fleeting moment of urban life is frozen in 1950s Chicago by Vivian Maier, whose secretive street photography captured the raw, unscripted beauty of ordinary people navigating the complexities of the American city. Long before the world knew his name, a 19-year-old Kurt Cobain stares into the camera. In 1986, his quiet expression hinting at the raw, vulnerable artistry that would eventually define a whole generation. Enveloped in the choking smoke and thunder of 1916, French troops huddle under intense shell fire during the Battle of Verdun, enduring one of the longest and most devastating conflicts in all of human history. A moment of pure cross-eyed wonder unfolds on Long Island in 1960 as 9-year-old Susan Berman holds her breath while a bold butterfly decides to perch directly upon the very tip of her nose. Defying gravity and common sense, in 1977, a young boy leaps across a narrow chasm 8 stories above the Bronx, a heart-stopping image that captures the dangerous playground of a neglected urban landscape. The incredible resilience of the human spirit is etched into the face of Civil War veteran Jacob Miller in 1911, who survived for decades with an open bullet wound sustained at Chickamauga. Laughter echoes through a sun-drenched park in 1908, Madrid, as children engage in timeless play, their joyful movements captured by Charles Chusseau-Flavien during a period of relative peace before the coming global storms. The haunting silence of 1945 Nagasaki reveals a landscape scrubbed clean by nuclear fire, leaving behind a desolate wasteland that serves as a permanent somber warning of the terrifying power of atomic weaponry. In the rugged Montana wilderness of 1901, a group of frontiersmen poses beside a primitive advertisement, their weathered faces reflecting the harsh reality and independence of life on the edge of American civilization. The shimmering, neon-soaked horizon of the modern Las Vegas Strip appears as a humble, dusty road in 1955, just as the desert town began its transformation into the world's most famous gambling destination. A solitary scholar wanders the grand multi-tiered stacks of the old Cincinnati Public Library before its 1955 demolition, a lost cathedral of knowledge that was eventually replaced by a mundane city parking lot. High above the ring in 1998, the undertaker looks down in genuine concern as medical staff rush to mankind who had just survived a terrifying and unscripted fall through the cell's steel roof. In a delightful and unexpected culinary crossover from 1974, the legendary Julia Child joins forces with the beloved Mr. Rogers to share the simple, rhythmic joy of making homemade spaghetti for their viewers. Nestled against the cold in 1949, a young Inuit girl cradles her small puppy, sharing a quiet moment of warmth and companionship that transcends the harsh environment of the far northern Arctic reaches. The heavy clink of falling chains marks a profound moment in 1907 as a British blacksmith removes the leg irons from a slave, signaling a delayed but necessary end to a period of bondage. Against the humble backdrop of a 1900 Montana farmhouse, a woman manages the daily chores of her kitchen, embodying the tireless and often invisible labor that sustained families on the American western frontier. By stepping into a whites-only pool in 1958, Florida 19-year-old David Isom challenged the cruelty of segregation, prompting officials to close the entire facility rather than allow the races to swim together. From the quiet shadows of the wings in 1963, 7-year-old Carrie Fisher watches with rapt attention as her mother Debbie Reynolds performs under the bright, enchanting lights of the professional theater stage. Crowds of elegantly dressed vacationers gather along the wide sands of Daytona Beach in 1904, enjoying the early days of Florida's transformation into a premier destination for sunshine relaxation and social gathering. Long strands of fresh pasta hang like golden curtains across a sunny Italian street in 1929, capturing a traditional method of food preparation that has remained a central pillar of Mediterranean cultural life. Clouded by thick smoke and relaxed laughter, a group of friends gathers for a marijuana party in 1950, offering a rare and candid glimpse into the private countercultural social circles of mid-century America. Crafted from layers of natural fiber, a traditional Japanese raincoat from the early 1900s stands as a beautiful testament to functional design and the ingenious use of local materials to withstand the elements. Fueled by the memory of her mother's suffering in an extermination camp, a woman in 1985 strikes a neo-Nazi with her handbag, a powerful and visceral rejection of hatred on the Swedish streets. A group of hopeful Puerto Rican workers boards a chartered flight in 1948, embarking on a significant journey toward the United States in search of new economic opportunities and a different way of life. A sea of blonde wigs and rhinestones fills the stage in 1979 Phoenix as contestants compete in a Dolly Parton look-alike contest celebrating the enduring charm and iconic style of the country superstar. Unearthed from the Siberian permafrost in 1977, the perfectly preserved mummy of a woolly mammoth cub named Daima offers scientists a rare 40,000-year-old window into the prehistoric world of the distant Ice Age. What appears to be a standard golden loaf of bread hides a bizarre culinary surprise inside, as this vintage recipe reveals a hidden center of tuna and mackerel intended for a mid-century picnic. A group of models in 1928 Los Angeles demonstrates one of the world's first motorized treadmills, showcasing an early and somewhat cumbersome attempt to bring the benefits of outdoor running into the home. Walking confidently down 6th Avenue in 1973, Jean Bauer carries the very first Dynatac mobile phone, a revolutionary moment that signaled the beginning of a new era in global communication and personal connectivity. Captured in a quiet moment in 1935 Amsterdam, a young Anne Frank looks toward the camera in a photograph taken by her father Otto, years before her diary would move the entire world. Parked in a tidy row in 1910, Christchurch, a fleet of early electric motor cars, proves that the quest for clean alternative energy has been a part of the automotive conversation for over a century. Amidst the dusty heat of a 1960 film set, Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller share a quiet, reflective conversation during the production of The Misfits, a project that would test their personal relationship. A horse-drawn carriage passes through the hollowed-out trunk of the massive Wawana tree in 1890, a legendary Yosemite landmark that stood as a giant symbol of the American West's breathtaking and ancient wilderness. Against a stark brick wall in 1903, a man poses for a somber mugshot after his arrest for indecent exposure in England, documenting a small scandalous a moment within the rigid Victorian legal system. Perched atop his massive 14-foot monowheel in 1923, Professor E.J. Christie prepares to test a high-speed invention that aimed to reach 250 miles per hour using a powerful aircraft engine. In a 1998 Manhattan storefront, Burger King pioneered the future by launching the first-ever fast food internet cafe, allowing customers to browse the emerging World Wide Web while enjoying a flame-grilled hamburger. Dressed as the painter Toulouse-Lautrec Buster Keaton poses beside the glamorous Zsa Gabor in 1954, Paris creating a whimsical and artistic tribute to the bohemian spirit of the legendary Moulin Rouge. Through the grainy lens of a mid-century photo booth, anonymous individuals capture their own likenesses while smoking, leaving behind a series of candid, smoky portraits that reflect the casual habits of the era. As the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Day in 1930, partygoers in Germany celebrate with exuberant energy, unaware of the profound and dark political shifts that would soon transform their entire nation. Muscles ripple under the studio lights in 1978 as Lou Ferrigno and Billy Crystal prepare for the Battle of the Network Stars, a televised spectacle that pitted famous celebrities against each other in sports. With its vibrant orange paint and iconic Confederate flag, the General Lee became a legendary symbol of television history, known for its daring jumps and the high-speed chases that defined the Duke Boys. In a legendary 1829 race, he against a horse, the Tom Thumb steam locomotive proved the potential of rail travel, despite a mechanical failure, marking the dawn of the American industrial and transportation revolution. The Rudge Whitworth Company offered the ultimate touring experience in 1925 by introducing a motorcycle capable of towing a full caravan and a sidecar designed to carry a detachable canoe for adventurous travelers. High above the ruins of post-war Cologne in 1946, acrobat Margaret Zimmerman performs a daring high-wire act over the Haymarket, offering a symbol of grace and resilience to a city slowly rebuilding itself. A 25-foot mechanical shark from the movie Jaws makes its way through the streets of Boston in 1988, traveling toward a museum exhibit dedicated to the incredible magic of Hollywood special effects. Seeking a brief escape from the overwhelming pressure of global fame, Paul McCartney donned a clever disguise in 1966, only to be humorously rejected from a nightclub because the doorman didn't recognize him. The crisp scent of pine fills the air in 1907 Berlin as families gather to purchase Christmas trees, continuing a beloved holiday tradition that has brought light and warmth to many generations. In a heart-pounding stunt from the mid-1910s, Johnny Hogg and his wife ride their Harley-Davidson sidecar along the narrow edge of a high aqueduct pipeline stretching across California's rugged Mint Canyon terrain. From the vibrant 1980s, Jane Asher's collection of unique costumes showcases an imaginative blend of everyday materials and my creative flair, turning simple household items into extraordinary and whimsical outfits for children and adults. A hand-lettered sign on a 1930s California air pump delivers a blunt and powerful warning to passers-by, urging the common citizen to protect their country from the influence of powerful and wealthy men. In a tender moment from 1972, Carrie Fisher shares a quiet laugh with her mother, Debbie Reynolds, capturing the intimate bond and shared Hollywood lineage that would define both of their extraordinary lives. Eager young faces line the dusty roadside in 1966 Kentucky as children wait for the traveling bookmobile, a vital mobile library that brought the magic of literature to remote and underserved rural communities. Travelers navigate the grand modernist halls of the Helsinki railway station in 1967, where the striking Finnish architecture provided a sophisticated and timeless backdrop for the daily rhythm of Northern European transit and life. Bound by a deep intellectual and emotional connection, Stephen Hawking and Jane Wilde pose for a wedding portrait in 1965, beginning a journey of profound love and scientific discovery despite a devastating diagnosis. High above the streets of London in the 1920s, a worker meticulously maintains the massive gears and hands behind the iconic clock face of Elizabeth Tower, ensuring the steady heartbeat of Big Ben. Bundle up against the Arctic chill. Two toddlers walk hand in hand with their grandmother through the rugged landscape of Greenland in 1973, reflecting the enduring strength and close-knit family traditions of the North. Scaffolding and stone blocks surround the rising spires of the Sagrada Familia in 1905 Barcelona, as workers continue Antoni Gaudi's ambitious masterpiece that would remain a work in progress for over a century. Adorned in rebellious fashion and leather, the girls of the Bosozaku gangs ride through the 1970s and 80s, carving out a bold, defiant subculture on the neon-lit highways of post-war industrial Japan. With precision and focus, a Native American woman operates a complex telephone switchboard in 1925, embodying the transition of indigenous people into the modern workforce during a period of significant technological expansion. In a pivotal moment of 1944, 75,000 American soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy to confront fascist tyranny, launching a heroic and bloody campaign that would eventually secure the freedom of Europe. A young Mahatma Gandhi sits for a portrait at age 7 in 1876, his steady gaze offering a rare and innocent glimpse into the early life of the boy who would lead India. In a courageous act of defiance in 1941, Sarajevo, a Muslim woman, uses her own veil to hide the yellow star on her Jewish neighbor's arm, risking everything to protect a friend. Driven by the memory of her mother's survival at Auschwitz, a Swedish woman famously strikes a marching neo-Nazi with her handbag in 1985, delivering a visceral and iconic blow against rising racial hatred. After diving repeatedly into freezing polluted water to save 20 people from a submerged trolleybus in 1976, champion fine swimmer Shavash Karapetian sacrificed his elite athletic career for an act of incredible, selfless heroism. Chief Bill Rock of the Crow Nation radiates a quiet, formidable dignity in this 1900 portrait, his traditional regalia and steady gaze standing as a powerful testament to the enduring spirit of his people. Inside a rugged cowboy bunkhouse in the old West Weary Ranch hands, find a moment of solace amidst the scent of leather and tobacco, bonding over shared stories after a grueling day's work. A heavily loaded freight wagon navigates the treacherous, muddy slopes of Snoqualmie Pass in 1880, representing the dangerous and vital lifeline that connected Washington's remote interior settlements to the growing coastal trade hubs. The hardware store in Cove, Oklahoma serves as the bustling heart of the frontier in 1900, providing essential tools and a vital social gathering place for the pioneers building a new life. Dazed and coated in a thick layer of gray ash, survivors from the 87th floor wander through the spectral ruins of Lower Manhattan following the catastrophic collapse of the South Tower in 2001. A proud Seattle family poses beside their sleek 1906 Winton Model K, celebrating the newfound freedom and prestige that the early automobile brought to the adventurous middle class at the turn of the century. A pioneer family huddles together against the relentless winds of a brutal 1880 Nebraska winter, their simple sod house serving as a humble fortress against the unforgiving and vast Great Plains wilderness. Children of various ages gather outside a simple one-room schoolhouse in Fruit Cove, Florida during the 1870s, representing the humble and determined roots of rural American education following the difficult Reconstruction era. Resting on a worn wooden porch in 1930, an older couple finds a moment of peace after a long day of labor on a Tennessee plantation, their quiet presence reflecting decades of resilience. Captured by the legendary Irving Penn in 1970, New Guinea, 4 generations of men stand together in a powerful visual lineage that honors the continuity of family culture and shared ancestral history. The haunting and somber reality of the 1864 slave market stands as a stark historical record of a time when human lives were treated as mere commodities before the arrival of abolition. Protected within the Topkapi Palace, a rare copy of Uthman's Quran from the early 600s serves as a breathtaking spiritual treasure and one of the oldest surviving manuscripts in the entire Islamic world. Leading a powerful kneeling protest in 1965, Selma, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. calls for justice and equality, anchoring the civil rights movement in a moment of profound spiritual strength. Players and spectators gather for the earliest known photograph of baseball in 1860 California, documenting the westward spread of the national pastime as it began to capture the heart of the frontier. In a fleeting moment of hope before the fall of the wall in 1989, an East German soldier passes a single flower through a concrete gap, signaling a peaceful end to division. A performer demonstrates incredible focus and physical control during a breathtaking balancing act in 1889, captivating audiences with a display of poise that pushed the limits of human agility and artistic daring. After 5 long years of agonizing separation enforced by the horrors of the Nazi regime, a Jewish husband and wife share an emotional and tearful reunion in Haifa, during the spring of 1946. Embodying the restless spirit of mid-century youth, James Dean leans against a brick wall. In 1956, his cool, brooding gaze capturing the iconic rebellion that would make him a timeless symbol of Hollywood. Immortalized for raising the flag on Iwo Jima, Ira Hayes sits in a 1953 detention cell, a tragic figure struggling with the invisible wounds of war and the heavy burden of unwanted fame. Perched atop the dizzying heights of the Burj Khalifa in 2011, Tom Cruise sits calmly above the clouds during the filming of a spectacular stunt that redefined the limits of modern action cinema. During the sensational 1925 Scopes monkey trial, high school teacher John T. Scopes stands in a crowded courtroom to defend his right to teach the theory of evolution in a science classroom. Yuri Gagarin and Valentina Tereshkova share a smile in the 1960s, two legendary pioneers who shattered the boundaries of the atmosphere to become the first man and woman to ever enter outer space. Housed in an Italian museum, a nearly 2,000-year-old Roman gold ring features a stunningly carved rock crystal that uses light to create a lifelike holographic image of a mother's lost and beloved son. Recognized as the mother of 69 children, the 18th century peasant Valentina Vassilyeva remains a legendary figure in history, representing the extraordinary and overwhelming realities of a family life in rural pre-modern Russia. In a touching display of compassion during the 1945 invasion of Okinawa, Marine Corporal Fenwick H. Dunn kneels to share his humble K-rations with a hungry and elderly local woman amidst the conflict. The massive Wardenclyffe Tower stands as a monument to Nikola Tesla's unfinished dream of wireless global power in 1904, an ambitious project that eventually collapsed due to a tragic lack of financial support. Dressed in their iconic capes and masks, the actors playing Batman and Robin prepare for a scene in 1966, bringing the vibrant and campy energy of the comic book world to television. Fueled by their own earnings from cross-country horseback adventures, young brothers Lewis and Temple Abernathy pose proudly with a new Indian motorcycle in 1913, ready for their next daring and high-speed journey. Billowing smoke and orange flames consumed the historic Cliff House in 1907 as San Francisco residents watched the tragic destruction of a beloved coastal landmark perched high above the churning Pacific Ocean. In a surreal display of industrial testing, daring factory workers race cars along the rooftop track of the Fiat building in 1923, utilizing the unique architecture of the Turin plant for high-speed trials. Wrapped in a stylish coat, Marilyn Monroe navigates the Miami International Airport in 1962, her radiant presence drawing every eye as she travels toward Mexico during the final turbulent year of her life. The stark reality of a divided city takes shape in 1961 as workers lay the first heavy stones of the Berlin Wall, physically severing families and neighborhoods at the height of international tension. In a rare and light-hearted moment from 1960, legendary director Alfred Hitchcock catches delicate snowflakes during a sleigh ride, sharing a whimsical winter experience with his beloved and delighted grandchildren. Holding his trumpet with the easy grace of a master, Louis Armstrong is captured in a striking 1966 portrait that radiates the warmth and legendary talent of the man who revolutionized jazz. Splattered with mud and grinning with pure, uninhibited joy, a group of children plays in the gritty streets of 1960s Glasgow, finding adventure and freedom in the most humble of urban environments. Clad in traditional armor and holding the sharp edge of history, the samurai of the Choshu clan pose in the 1860s, a striking image of a warrior class on the brink of disappearance. Swirling with terrifying power across the Gulf of Mexico, Hurricane Katrina reaches its peak intensity in this 2005 satellite image, a silent and chilling witness to one of history's most devastating natural disasters. Bathed in the warm, rich tones of 1939 Kodachrome, a young boy enjoys a Saturday evening bath in Spencer, Tennessee, capturing a simple and intimate moment of rural life during the Great Depression. Breaking barriers with a steady hand and focused gaze, Sandra Brown receives shotgun training in 1970 as she prepares to serve as the first black woman on the Oakland police force in California. Wrapped in traditional garments that have endured for centuries, Scandinavia's indigenous Sami people stand amidst the snowy landscape of 1928, Norway preserving a unique cultural identity within a rapidly modernizing and changing world. Trailing behind a retreating German army in 1944, a massive railroad plow systematically destroys tracks to hinder the Allied advance, leaving a path of twisted steel and broken logistics across the European theater. Dressed in worn overalls and carrying the weight of the Ozark schoolboys in 1935 Arkansas stand together in a stark, honest portrait of rural childhood during one of America's most challenging and difficult eras. Uniformed schoolgirls in Gaza stand in disciplined, hopeful lines for class in 2009, their bright faces reflecting a determination to pursue an education despite the ongoing hardships and instability of the region's conflict. Walking through the quiet, war-torn streets of Sondersdorf, two schoolgirls in 1945 Alsace are captured by Robert Duano, symbolizing the resilience of youth and the slow return to normalcy following years of occupation. Radiating the raw, rebellious energy that would soon make him a Hollywood icon, a young Sean Penn poses in 1982, his intense gaze reflecting the burgeoning talent of a future Academy Award-winning dramatic actor. Beaming with a radiant and triumphant smile, Selena Quintanilla proudly holds her Grammy in 1994, celebrating a historic milestone for Tejano music just 1 year before her life was tragically cut short in Texas. Beneath the misty glow of 1950s, Paris, a dedicated street vendor, offers colorful bouquets in the pouring rain, personifying the romantic and timeless resilience of the French capital's most iconic and hardworking flower sellers. A portrait of dignity and political courage. Senator Hiram Rhodes Revels sits for the camera around 1870 as the very first African American to serve in the United States Senate during the Reconstruction era. Separated by a cold, jagged barbed wire fence in 1961, two young West German girls lean in to chat with their grandparents on the eastern side, highlighting the cruel and sudden family divisions. Amidst the grand 1910 celebrations for Mexico's centennial of independence, a curious dog wanders into the arrival ceremony for the Ottoman, a delegation adding a touch of unplanned mundane life to a prestigious international event. In a powerful symbolic victory from 1945, Sergeant George Kaufman replaces a sign for Adolf Hitler Street with Roosevelt Boulevard, marking the liberation of Krefeld, Germany by the triumphant American 9th Army Unit. Dressed in his ornate and heavy uniform, Sergeant William McGregor of the Scots Fusilier Guards stands for a portrait following his service in the Crimean War, a conflict that redefined mid-19th century European power. A row of priests sits in a unique serial confessional setup in 1964, Poland, as Elliot Erwitt captures a moment of mass spiritual devotion and the deep-rooted religious traditions of the Eastern Bloc. Thousands of workers navigate a a dizzying, mud-soaked abyss in 1986 Brazil as Sebastião Salgado documents the frantic and perilous search for gold within the massive hand-dug craters of the legendary Serra Pelada mine. A somber image from 1916 Dublin remembers young Sion Healy, who became the youngest Republican casualty of the Easter Rising, a boy whose life was lost in the violent struggle for Irish national independence. Adorned with numerous medals for his bravery and loyalty, the legendary Sergeant Stubby sits for a 1925 portrait, having served as the most decorated war dog of the Great War's famous 102nd Infantry. Trapped within the crushing frozen grip of Antarctic ice, Shackleton's ship, the Endurance appears as a ghostly skeleton in 1916, documenting one of the greatest survival stories in the history of polar exploration. Filled with hope and anticipation in 1969, Sharon Tate displays the delicate baby clothing she had recently purchased in London, unaware of the horrific tragedy that would soon shock the entire world. With incredible precision and flair, sharpshooter Annie Oakley aims over her shoulder using a small hand mirror in 1899, demonstrating the legendary marksmanship that made her a superstar of the Wild West. Resting amidst the rugged beauty of 1939, Azerbaijan local shepherds gathered to listen to music records on a portable gramophone, blending ancient pastoral traditions with the surprising arrival of early 20th century recording technology. Posing with his sons Ernst and Martin in 1914, Sigmund Freud reflects the somber reality of the Great War as his children prepare to serve in the Austro-Hungarian army during a tragic era. Piled high with every possession, they own a struggling family from Florida heads north during the Great Depression, their weary faces reflecting the desperate search for hope in a land of hardship. Cradling a fragile newborn lamb against the rolling hills of Scotland. In 1932, a young boy captures a timeless moment of tenderness and the on enduring connection between humans and the natural world. Hardened by the streets of 1924, 8-year-old Patsy proudly claims he earns 50 cents a day, selling newspapers, a stark reflection of the childhood labor that once fueled the American city machine. Standing in stiff collars and long skirts, teachers and students pose outside their schoolhouse in 1910, embodying the rigid discipline and communal dedication to education at the turn of the last century. Clustered around a primitive wooden frame in 1912, a group of people experiences an early form of communal entertainment, proving the timeless human desire to gather and share stories remains forever unchanged. Braving a sudden downpour with a smile, a resilient bride navigates her rainy wedding day, 100 years ago, reminding us that love and joy can shine through even the gloomiest of weather. A mother and child browse the well-stocked cracker aisle of a Maryland grocery store in 1942, surrounded by familiar brands that offered a small sense of normalcy during the height of war. Floating in a Las Vegas pool in 1953, motel guests witness the terrifying beauty of a distant atomic mushroom cloud, a surreal and chilling intersection of leisure and the nuclear age's dawn. A young boy's face is bathed in a ghostly glow as he sees a television for the very first time in 1948, capturing the exact moment a new medium changed humanity forever. Created in the late 1820s by Joseph Nicephore Niepce, this grainy view of the French countryside stands as the very first chum photograph ever taken, marking the birth of our visual historical record. An estimated 500,000 people descended on a New York farm in 1969 for Woodstock, creating a legendary symbol of peace music and the countercultural spirit that defined an entire restless generation.